You know Bing Crosby is the voice behind White Christmas. But what about the children who lived in his shadow? Some followed in his footsteps, others ran from his fame, and a few met heartbreaking ends. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating, complicated, and often tragic lives of Bing Crosby's children. From musical careers and movie roles to personal demons and public scandals, their stories reveal a side of Hollywood's golden family you've never heard before. Number 7. Gary Crosby. Bing's eldest son, Gary Evan Crosby, was born June 27, 1933. From an early age, Gary followed in his father's footsteps. In the 1950s, he sang with his brothers in the Crosby Brothers Quartet, performing on Bing's radio shows and TV specials. In fact, Gary even duetted with his dad on hit songs like Sam's Song. Their recording became the first ever double-sided gold record. By the late 1950s, though, Gary decided to strike out on his own. He left the family singing group in 1959, and his brothers continued on without him. Gary pivoted to acting and landed roles across film and television. He popped up on popular TV shows like Adam 12, The Twilight Zone, Matlock, and Murder, She Wrote, often as a guest character. On the big screen, Gary usually played supporting parts, appearing in films alongside stars such as Pat Boone in Mardi Gras, 1958, and Frankie Vaughan in The Right Approach, 1961. He never became a leading man like his father, but he worked steadily in Hollywood through the 50s and 60s. Despite his showbiz career, Gary is perhaps best remembered for the shocking tell-all memoir he published in 1983. Titled Going My Own Way, the book alleged that Bing Crosby was not the warm, easygoing dad the public imagined, but rather an abusive and strict father. Gary wrote of emotional and physical abuse, stories of harsh discipline that stunned fans who knew Bing as the gentle crooner. The claims were controversial, even within the Crosby family. Some of Gary's siblings disagreed with his portrayal of their dad. His twin brother Philip publicly refuted Gary's account, insisting, "We never got an extra whack, or a cuff we didn't deserve." In contrast, his younger brother Lindsay supported Gary's right to speak out, saying, "I'm glad he did it. It was something Gary had to do." The dispute over the memoir caused a rift in the family, and even Bing's brother, bandleader Bob Crosby, came to Bing's defense, describing Bing not as abusive, but as a firm disciplinarian in line with their own strict upbringing. Beyond the headlines, Gary faced his own personal struggles. He battled alcoholism for years, a struggle that later inspired him to become a lecturer for Alcoholics Anonymous, helping others in recovery. In his private life, Gary married 3 times and had one son, Stephen, with his first wife. By the mid-1990s, years of smoking caught up with him. Gary Crosby died of lung cancer in 1995 at the age of 62. It was a quiet end for the eldest Crosby child, who had lived in both the glow of his father's fame and the shadow of their complicated relationship. For 6, Dennis Crosby. Next came Dennis Michael Crosby, one of Bing's twin sons with Dixie Lee. Dennis was born on July 13, 1934, just minutes apart from his twin brother Philip. As a young man, Dennis performed with the Crosby Brothers singing group like his siblings, but he never felt at home in show business. "I guess I wasn't cut out to be an entertainer," Dennis admitted later in life. He described feeling painfully self-conscious on stage next to his outgoing brothers. After the Crosby Brothers act disbanded, Dennis mostly stepped back from performing. He made a few brief forays into acting, including cameo appearances as himself in films like Duffy's Tavern, 1945, and bit parts in 1960s movies. But he didn't pursue Hollywood with much enthusiasm. Unlike his brothers, Dennis seemed happier away from the spotlight. In his personal life, Dennis made headlines of a different sort. In 1958, he married Pat Sheehan, a Las Vegas showgirl who, in a twist of old Hollywood drama, had once dated Bing Crosby himself. Together, Dennis and Pat had 2 sons, and Dennis also adopted Pat's son from her previous marriage. After that marriage ended, Dennis remarried, tying the knot with Arlene Newman in the 1960s. He had 2 daughters with Arlene and adopted her daughter from an earlier relationship. Dennis even fathered another daughter, Denise, from a relationship with a model named Marilyn Miller Scott. Interesting fact, that daughter, Denise Crosby, grew up to be an actress famous for playing Tasha Yar on Star Trek: The Next Generation, making Bing Crosby's granddaughter a Star Trek star. By the late 1980s, however, Dennis Crosby's life took a tragic turn. He had long struggled to find his own identity outside of his family name and reportedly suffered from depression. On May 4, 1991, Dennis was found dead at age 56 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities ruled it a suicide. His death came just 2 years after his younger brother, Lindsay's suicide. Deepening the Crosby family's sorrow, Dennis's passing underscored the harsh reality that fame and fortune can't protect against personal demons. Number 5. Philip Crosby. Dennis's twin brother, Philip Crosby, arrived on the same day, July 13, 1934, making him Bing and Dixie's 3rd son. Known as Phil, he too was part of the musical act with his brothers in the 1950s. After the quartet broke up, Philip continued in entertainment for a time on his own terms. He'd launched a solo singing act, even landing a spot on The Ed Sullivan Show to showcase his smooth vocals. During the holidays, he often teamed up with family friend Bob Hope, appearing in Hope's Christmas specials and USO-style performances, carrying on his dad's tradition of entertaining troops and audiences. Phil also dabbled in acting with small roles in a few 1960s films like Robin and the Seven Hoods, 1964, and None But the Brave, 1965. He never became a superstar, but he carved out a modest career in showbiz during his younger years. Philip's personal life was eventful. He was married 4 times and had a total of 5 children. In fact, he named one of his daughters Dixie Lee Crosby in honor of his late mother. By the early 1980s, Philip found himself at odds with his brother Gary over the explosive allegations in Gary's memoir. Philip staunchly defended their father's reputation. He publicly disputed Gary's abuse stories, stating in an interview that, "We never got an extra whack or a cuff we didn't deserve." Philip also asserted that Bing and Dixie had a very good marriage and that he understood Dad probably better than anybody in the whole family. These comments showed Phil's loyalty to his father and perhaps his own perspective that their strict upbringing was normal for the times. Unfortunately, Gary's book caused a lasting friction between the brothers, and they were reportedly estranged for years afterward. Like several of his siblings, Philip struggled with alcoholism through much of his adult life. Despite those challenges, he lived longer than his twin. In 2004, Philip Crosby died of natural causes, reportedly a heart attack, at the age of 69. He was the last surviving son from Bing's first marriage, and with his passing, all 4 of Bing and Dixie's boys were gone. Philip's later years were relatively quiet, and he had stepped away from public life. Number 4. Lindsay Crosby. The youngest of Bing's first 4 sons was Lindsay Harry Crosby, born January 5, 1938. Lindsay was just a teenager when his mother Dixie died of cancer in 1952, leaving Bing to raise the boys alone, with help from nannies and boarding schools. Perhaps seeking closeness with his often absent dad, Lindsay eagerly joined his brothers in performing. In the mid-1950s, he sang with the Crosby Brothers group on tours and TV, and even recorded a couple of solo Christmas songs while still in high school. Those singles, That's What I Want for Christmas and Dear Mr. Santa Claus, were produced by Decca Records and featured Lindsay's youthful voice backed by his father's orchestra. When the family singing act dissolved, Bing gave Lindsay a job reading scripts and helping out in his production office, giving the young man a behind-the-scenes role in showbiz. As he grew older, Lindsay attempted to forge an acting career of his own. He landed roles in a few B-movies and genre films in the 1960s and early 70s. For instance, he appears in the action flick The Mechanic, 1972, and the motorcycle movie The Glory Stompers, 1967. But, like his brothers, Lindsay never escaped the shadow of the name Crosby. He married 3 times and had 4 sons of his own, yet struggled to find stability. Alcohol abuse was a recurring problem for him, as it was for Gary and Philip. When Gary published his scathing memoir about Bing, Lindsay's response showed a mix of support and affection. He told People magazine in 1983, "I'm glad Gary did it. It was something Gary had to do." At the same time, Lindsay defended the memory of his father's love. He acknowledged Bing could be tough, but fondly recalled that every night his dad would say, "Good night, I love you," which to me was heaven. In that same interview, Lindsay admitted, "I still miss him. I probably didn't realize how much I'd miss him when he died." Despite any hard times, Lindsay chose to remember all the good things I did with my dad and forget the times that were rough. These poignant words revealed a son who, despite everything, deeply loved and longed for his father. Tragically, Lindsay's life was cut short by despair. By 1989, he was divorced, reportedly broke, and battling depression and alcoholism. On December 11, 1989, Lindsay Crosby died by suicide at his home in Calabasas, California. He was just 51 years old. His death, coming before those of Dennis and Philip, was the first sign of the heartbreaking pattern that would claim 3 of Bing's 4 sons from the first marriage. Number 3, Harry Lillis Crosby III. After losing their mother Dixie in 1952, Bing's older boys grew up in a stricter environment, and their adult lives were turbulent. But Bing found love again with actress Katharine Grant, and in his second act as a family man, he had 3 more children. The eldest of these is Harry Lillis Crosby III, born August 8, 1958. If the name sounds familiar, it's because Harry III was named after his father. Bing's real name was Harry Lillis Crosby Jr., making young Harry III to carry the name. Growing up, Harry lived a rather different life from his half-brothers. For one thing, Bing was semi-retired by the time Harry was in grade school, and the family lived away from Hollywood in Hillsboro, near San Francisco. That's not to say Harry missed out on showbiz entirely. As a little boy, he occasionally appeared on his father's famous TV Christmas specials. In one cute anecdote, 6-year-old Harry was in the audience for a 1965 taping of the Hollywood Palace variety show when someone asked if he knew any songs. He piped up that he'd just learned a Christmas carol. And the next thing you know, little Harry was brought on stage in shorts and shiny shoes to sing with his dad on national television. That was the beginning of the Christmas shows. Harry later recalled, remembering how natural it felt to join the fun. Unlike his older brothers, Harry never felt pressured to become an entertainer. Performing with Dad was just a childhood lark. "We were raised kind of as normal kids, and we loved him as a dad," Harry said, emphasizing that being at home was low-key and loving. In college, Harry Crosby did pursue the arts. He studied theater and even acted for a short while. Horror movie fans might recognize him for one of his notable roles. He played Bill in the original Friday the 13th, 1980, one of the unlucky camp counselors in that classic slasher film. He also had a part in the TV sitcom Double Trouble in the 1980s. But by the end of that decade, Harry made a sharp career turn. He left acting behind and went into business, specifically investment banking. Over the years, he built an impressive resume in finance, starting at Lehman Brothers, becoming a managing director at Credit Suisse, and later taking partner roles at private equity firms. As of 2019, Harry Crosby III was a partner in business development at the firm Trilantic North America. Not many people can claim to have been in a famous horror film and a high-powered banker. Harry also pursued higher education along the way. According to his LinkedIn, the firm coordinates private golf clubs into an ultra-affluent golf membership program, basically catering to elite golf enthusiasts. Nathaniel also shared his unique upbringing in a 2016 memoir titled 18 Holes with Bing, Golf, Life, and Lessons from Dad. In it, he reflects on the life lessons and memories from golfing with his father, a side of Bing Crosby the world didn't see on stage. It's clear Nathaniel cherishes those memories of walking the fairways with his dad. In reflecting on his father, Harry emphasizes how low-key and devoted Bing was in their home life. He notes that his mom, Catherine, instilled in the younger kids a sense that they were in a public light and needed to stay out of trouble, despite their famous lineage. Number 2. Mary Crosby. Mary Frances Crosby, born September 14, 1959, is Bing Crosby's only daughter. From the beginning, Mary was the princess of the family. Bing famously nicknamed her Merry Christmas because of his signature song. She appeared as a little girl alongside her dad in a few of his Christmas television specials, charming audiences with her sweet demeanor. But unlike her musical father and brothers, Mary did not pursue a singing career. Instead, she found her calling in acting where she would make a mark all her own. Mary Crosby is best known for a single iconic TV role that became a pop culture phenomenon. In 1979, at just 19 years old, she was cast on the smash hit Primetime's soap Dallas. She played the scheming Kristen Shepherd, who became infamous as the answer to the burning question, "Who shot J.R.?" Kristen Shepherd, Mary's character, pulled the trigger in one of television's most watched cliffhangers, instantly putting Mary in the spotlight. Her portrayal from 1979 to 1981 made Mary a household name, quite apart from her father's fame. Even today, TV fans remember Mary Crosby as the one who shot J.R. on Dallas, a true water cooler moment in TV history. Mary continued to act throughout the 1980s and beyond, building an extensive resume on television. She guest-starred on popular shows across genres, including the detective series Star, Sky, and Hutch, the teen drama Beverly Hills, 90210, the mystery series Murder, She Wrote, and even an episode of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. Each role showcased Mary's versatility beyond the scheming Kristen persona. On the big screen, she had roles in films such as The Legend of Zorro, 2005, with Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Her last film appearance was in the indie comedy The M Word in 2014, after which she has kept a lower profile. Outside of acting, Mary's life has been focused on family. She was married to actor Eb Laudammer for over a decade, 1978 to 1989, and later found lasting love with Mark Brodka, whom she married in 1998. Mary and Mark have 2 children together, and she largely stepped back from Hollywood to raise her kids in the 1990s and 2000s. Now in her mid-60s, Mary Crosby occasionally appears at fan conventions or gives interviews reminiscing about Dallas, but she's primarily devoted to her family and philanthropic interests. Number 1. Nathaniel Crosby. Nathaniel Patrick Crosby, born on October 29, 1961. As the youngest child of Bing and Catherine, Nathaniel was just 15 when his famous father died, suddenly on a golf course in 1977. By then, Bing was 74 and had poured much of his later years into being a present dad to his second family. One of Bing's passions beyond music was golf, and he eagerly shared that hobby with Nathaniel. In fact, Bing was determined that his younger kids didn't grow up to be Hollywood brats, and one way he kept Nate grounded was by bonding over golf. Nathaniel proved to be a natural at golf, perhaps even a prodigy, At age 15, he won the championship at the family's country club in Burlingame, and Bing reportedly told him, "Today is the happiest day of my life." That proud father-son moment was a hint of things to come. Just a few years later, in 1981, Nathaniel achieved a remarkable feat. He won the U.S. Amateur Championship, the most prestigious title in amateur golf, at only 19 years old. He was one of the youngest winners ever. That victory brought Nathaniel Crosby considerable fame in the golf world. Now he had his own claim to fame, independent of Bing. Nathaniel went on to play on the U.S. team in the Walker Cup, a major amateur team event, and even competed in professional tournaments. He played in the Masters tournament 3 times and in 2 British Open championships during the 1980s. For a while, he played professionally on the European Tour from 1985 to 1987, though he never won a pro tournament. Still, he carried the Crosby name onto the global golf stage with skill and class. After a few years in pro golf, Nathaniel transitioned into the business side of the sport. He became a golf industry executive using his famous connections and knowledge of the game. He founded and currently runs Apple Tree Golf Management, a company that develops high-end golf clubs and resorts. According to his LinkedIn, the firm coordinates private golf clubs into an ultra-affluent golf membership program, basically catering to elite golf enthusiasts. Nathaniel also shared his unique upbringing in a 2016 memoir titled 18 Holes with Bing, Golf, Life, and Lessons from Dad. In it, he reflects on the life lessons and memories from golfing with his father. A side of Bing Crosby the world didn't see on stage. It's clear Nathaniel cherishes those memories of walking the fairways with his dad. As of 2016, he and his wife Sheila have a blended family of 6 children, 4 from his first marriage and 2 from hers. Now, in his early 60s, Nathaniel remains active in golf and often appears at Crosby family charitable events like the Bing Crosby National Pro-Am Golf Tournament, which his father started years ago. He has fondly upheld Bing's legacy in the golfing community, all while steering clear of the Hollywood limelight.